Heavenly Father, in Jehovah, who dwellest in the invisible realm and reveal thyself only through faith. And Father, I lift this prayer this Sabbath day, discerning the eternal divider that stands before thee every soul, the kingdom of faith and the kingdom of faith, two realms that can never mix, two currencies that can never be exchanged, two masters that can never be served. I pray, Father, faith and faith are not mere choices of lifestyle, but opposing dominions, locked in battle since the serpent whispered in Eden. Faith, Father, says, see first, then believe. While doers command. Trust in my word through sight deceived. One voice led unto bondage of proof, and the other to liberty of trust. And Father, you have sent Jehovah to teach us that faith is the true currency of thy kingdom. Gold backed by substance unseen, weight invisible yet eternal. It holds value not because of eyes verified, but because thy word sustains it. And Father, faith, however, is the counterfeit tender. Worthless paper printed in doubt, demanding endless evidence and never satisfies. And those who cling to it are like beggars, clutching play money, deceived into thinking they pose treasure, yet found empty and their souls are weighed. So I pray, Father, to open the eyes of thy people to see that faith has affected their worship. They have built sanctuaries filled with images, bowed to paintings, portraits, and consuming moving pictures, Father, of religion, thinking props and spectacles sustain faith, while truth they revealed is absent. They kiss relics, wearing trinkets if they could be bought with metal or wood. In this day, Father, they have behaved as Thomas, who would not trust until he has seen, but grafted in, traded faith gold for fake stones. So thou hast shown from the beginning that fake disease spreads quickly, and those who saw plagues fail in Egypt, seas parted still demand golden calves to touch. And those who ate heaven's bread still cry for visible idols. So Father, so this day, today, many have known thy provisions and still demands proof, signs, and verification. They treat one another as suspicion, planning, surveillance, demanding constant proof, Father, and assurance. If they cannot trust those they see, how should they trust whom their eyes cannot behold? Their device of suspicions reveal their citizenship in faith, dominion. But trust cannot dwell where proof is demanded continually. So Father, I pray this, that faith is all, Father, they have made this a fantasy, because I take faith as a treasury and is worthless in thy kingdom. A man may bring a warehouse of religious acts, mountains of churches' attendance and the liberty of doctors. Yet if his currency is printed in doubt, heaven's auditors shall count it as nothing, because faith alone opens the vault of eternity. And those who arrive with faith, counterfeit bills will be turned away. So Father, I pray that thou accepting not the paper of unbelief, but only through the substance of trust. And I ask that you reveal the relationship on earth exposes which kingdom rules within us. The spouse, whoever seeks for years of loyalty yet demands proof, yet despises witness for years in the suspicion that destroys. And Father, I pray that you open the eyes of each and every one of us this day as we come into this faith and fate to where we become masteries of this illusion that have made many people citizens of faith. So I pray, Father, as we move forward this day, I ask you to bless each and every one of us. Allow each and every one of us to open our eyes for the day. Educate our hearts. Circumcise them. And remove the shields and the scales from our eyes. And let us see with true faith. Yes. From the false faith that they see. So I pray this, Father, in the ways of Jehovah as we begin this lesson today. I ask you to be with me, Father, as I move forward. And I pray this in the ways of Jehovah, who you have sent to me. And in his way, Jehovah, your word, I will always pray in. Amen. And shalom, everyone, shalom. I want to welcome everyone to the house of the lost sheep of Israel as we prepare today to go into the house of Jehovah. And today we have an in-depth teaching. Might go a little bit over time, but for the severity of this is what I've been led to teach. Need to make sure that we have complete clarity on the day. And before we get started, I do want to make a couple of announcements. This same Deacon Ernest James was once known as that, but from here out we know him as Evangelist James. He was moved up to an evangelist and moving to the other side of the battlefield. So I want to welcome Evangelist James to the fight. And also we have another. We also have, you see, Brother Mike Joseph. no longer known as Brother Mike Joseph, known as Deacon Mike Joseph. So we have these two that then entered into the battlefield, making sure they is doing what thus said the Lord. And I have a couple of other announcements. Some that they might not expect, they think they can hide among the trees. But I'm not going to let them hide among the trees. And that's my own dear brother who shared the same womb that I came from. My brother, I call him D. Some of you guys might have met him. He might have told you Dwayne, or he might have told you Melvin, which Melvin is his first name. We call him by his middle name. But I'm not going to let him hide. He said every time I see him, he talking about me, but I'm going to let him know you need to hit this battlefield. This battlefield, you was over there on the Christian side fighting with every breath of the way. So this one, we also going to hold the same thing. The same thing we're going to hold over here. So my brother Dwayne, you need to hit the battlefield. If not, I got Deacon Khalil. And Deacon Khalil, all I got to do is point him in that direction. And Deacon Khalil puts in work. So that's one. And I got another one. You see, he just put in there. He got under there D. Ransom. That's my first cousin, but I see him as a brother. Even his children call me Uncle Michael. We ain't going to let him get out of this. Now, he know. Don't make me put Deacon Khalil on you. Because you was over there and you was fighting hard for that other side. So I'm just letting you know. Y'all two, I don't let neither one of you guys get out of here. You guys, the same blood run through mine, the same blood run through yours. And I need y'all up on that field. So I'm just letting you know that I'm not letting y'all go. Y'all not getting out of this one. So the same thing is, I need to make sure y'all getting ready, got to put in work. Because if not, I gotta let Deacon Khalil go. And once he get let go, he already put in there. Hard work. I let him go. So hopefully y'all don't make me let him loose the way he can just stay calm and do what he do. Take care of the work that he need to take care of. But if I don't start seeing lessons going in to Deacon Khalil, I'm going to let him go. I'm going to let him go, and I'm going to tell him some personal things where he can throw rocks. And he'll throw boulders. And I tell him to throw rocks, he's going to throw boulders. So I'm just asking. Y'all need to put in work. But also, I just want to let people know we have this here where we can look at. Now, if you look over here, if you go to King James Bible University homepage, you'll see Evangelist James' page is right there. It's Durham NC KJBU. You'll see it right there at the bottom. I can scroll to the top, you'll see it's right there. So you'll see when you scroll to the bottom, you'll see his thing there. So if you can make sure that you guys go there and you subscribe to that channel, because he was normally under Deacon Khalil's, but then once he had moved to the evangelist, he has to go to his own channel. So you'll see all his videos and everything start going there. So just make sure you guys do that update. And subscribe there. So you can go over there, subscribe, and make sure, because his lesson is going to be coming from there. Other than that, everything else is going to be running the same from Deacon Khalil's channel, because I do know Brother Tree, and I do know when we have issues and different things that goes on, they'll run from that channel. However, we're making sure these brothers do what they need to do. So I want to congratulate each and every one of them. And we have some other things that's going to be changing and moving forward, and we're growing. And growing because there's a lot of sides to this Word of God, and that need to be told to make sure we can get more and more people moving inside what thus said the Lord. Now, one thing I do want to make sure of, based on last week, I don't know who been doing that praying, but y'all put a wrench in my lesson for this week, where he led me to going deeper on this faith, based on faith. And then I had a couple of phone calls this morning, as well as a couple of phone calls this week. So I know it was them kind of involved in this, and that made sure that what I was going to have to do today. But I do want to make sure that each and every person, as we go through here, just personally understand what this is. Now, I do know a lot of people still don't quite understand faith, and we're going to go deep into it. So we're going to help you to understand a lot more of it as we move forward on this. So what we're going to do, we're going to get started. We want to look at some of this, and we want to go through it as we get the understanding. So what we're going to do, we're going to go over to the Bible. We're going to look at a couple of things. And we're going to start here, because even when the word even came to me in this vision, and it led me to remember a couple of things with this mystery, with faith and fate. And they're not merely choices between two paths, but it's a revelation of a spiritual kingdom that we need to understand. So I'm going to try my best to take my time and mosey through it, so we could run over time. But I want to make sure today we understand it clearly and fully. So what we're going to do, we're going to start right here. We're going to look at Genesis. We're going to start right there. Genesis chapter 3, picking up at verse 15. And it says, I will put enmity between thee and the woman, between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. But we have to look at a few things here. We have to see the spiritual function of faith. See, faith is unique. As it says in Hebrews chapter 11, looking at verse 1, it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So faith, according to the function of substance, it serves as the very foundation of a spiritual reality within the kingdom of Jehovah. I want you to keep all this in mind. So when Scripture declares this, it declares that. Now, faith is a substance thing hoped for. So we have to remember and understand what the word substance, because that reveals how faith operates. I want you guys to make sure you stay with me on this. So we see in that faith operate, it's not just on belief or a mental agreement, but it's the actual spiritual material from which Jehovah builds his kingdom. So faith functions as a spiritual foundation stone upon all the divine operation that rests, even as the physical world was built on the principles of divine order and substance. So I want you to look at a couple of things. So is substance is going to carry the meaning, the foundation, the material, and it's an essential reality from which other things are formed. So faith now becomes the purchase price wanted to make sure y'all understanding me. It becomes the purchase price, which the soul is redeemed from the marketplace. And then we see sin, because they're going to redeem it from there. And it's functioning as a spiritual currency that Jehovah accepts in exchange for righteousness. Actually, we're going to go down because I was going to move too fast, but I want to make sure we get the in. I want you to look at Ephesians chapter 2, looking at verse 8. It says, by grace ye are saved through faith. You see that? You see it right there. That becomes the purchase price. And it's not of yourself, it is a gift of God. So we get that. So the substance that carry the meaning of the foundation is material. So it's the purchase price. So when we observe this and we looking at everything according to precepts and according to what we need to understand, we're going to look at another part in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6, to where we can build this. And it's telling you right there, Hebrews 11 and verse 6, it says, but without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must, you see that, must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. I want to make sure everybody understanding what this is saying, because when we're looking at this, when you observe this profound statement that he's making here, faith operates as spiritual currency. Everybody follow me. Just the size if you follow me. So faith, we're going to look at a spiritual currency like dollar bills. Y'all follow me? So in the economy of Jehovah's kingdom, we're going to establish this divine exchange. And I'm going to show you some illustrations to where we can get even a solid understanding on this. In this exchange rate between temporal and eternal. So when Scripture declares this here, but without faith it is impossible to please him. We get that now. We now get a better understanding, because the word, even the rewarder, function as the spiritual, as we can see this, the one who exchanges according to the divine ordinances. So when we looking at Jehovah exchanges our faith for his righteousness, our trust, our provisions, our obedience for his blessings create this spiritual economy. I want to make sure we understand it here. So whereas the currency of faith enables, it now enables access to treasures of heaven. Let me go a little bit deeper here. Because this divine exchange operates not according to man's merit or works. Keep that in mind. It do not drive that. But it's according to the substance, that currency of faith that acknowledges Jehovah as the source of spiritual reality. So when we're looking at this exchange rate in Jehovah's kingdom, it's fixed, it's immutable. Faith offered truth, sincerity, and then it receives the measure of this divine response. He is faithful that his promise cannot deny himself. Follow me. So faith becomes the means of access to grace through spiritual material. So which believers now, these followers of Christ, relationship with Jehovah, it now become constructed even when the tabernacle was built according to the divine pattern revealed through the spiritual instructions. You guys get this. I'm going to show you an illustration on what I took the time here to start putting together, and I might have to add to it to where we get even better clarity. So I put this here together to where we can see it. And I want you to see this here. So, and actually, I want to make sure everybody can see that they're in. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger and do that. But here is the currency. That's faith. Okay? Down here is belief. That's the substance coin. I want you to stay with me. So faith stands as the supreme spiritual currency, the powering every transaction in Jehovah's eternal economy. So if you understand this mystery, faith functions as dollar bills, as I was saying earlier. It functions as dollar bills of heaven, while belief operate as gold coins that you see there. So even as earthly bills once required gold reserves, think about this, gold reserves establish their value, so faith require gold standards of belief to mint the spiritual substance of those dollar bills. So the scriptures declare faith is the substance hoped for. Let's go back and look at that. Let's go back and look at it. So it tells you, faith is the substance hoped for evidence of things not seen. That's why we're looking at that. That's why we see that there. So this is based on belief. You see the belief. Actually, I'll make it a little bit bigger. You see it there. That's belief. So we can understand that. So now the invisible become tangible. Faith serves as the paper currency easily exchanged in daily spiritual commerce. So while belief functions as weighty gold stored in the soul, your soul is, like we'll say, it's the vault. And this determines the actual purchase power of one's faith dollars in heaven's marketplace. Everybody follow me? Everybody follow me? We should get this. It's very straightforward right now. So as that's happening, and as this goes on, that's what's going on here to where we can get this. So now when you have those faith dollars in heaven, this marketplace, we can consider now what's happening. So we got to consider this divine minting process. So when the soul brings belief, these coins, in unrefined conviction of the heart, Jehovah's royal mint, it undergoes a spiritual examination where some belief here, the coins, it proves 30-fold pure, it proves 60-fold pure, it proves some 100-fold. So each purity level determines how many faith dollars can be minted from each gold coin of belief. We're going to start finding out a lot about this. We're going to find out a lot about this. I'm going to explain it a little bit different to where we can even get it even better. So understand one thing. So for your belief, one with 30-fold belief, one of you guys with 30-fold belief, this coin substance, to back your spiritual currency of your faith in God, if you got 30-fold belief, possesses gold alloys, and it still has doubt and fear with it. You follow me? So if you have a 30-fold belief, you have doubt still in you of God. That's what I'm saying. So when you sitting there saying that faith currency of all the fully trusting God, you don't have. Y'all follow me now? I know you get this now. This is the thing with belief, because the belief in the same thing when you go to the Federal Reserve, your money is backed on gold. It's backed on gold here. But it's still based on your belief, which is the coins. That's how you're going to get this, the gold coins. So what it is, your faith currency is basic provisions in the kingdom. It's milk. It's not meat. That's why we had a lot of people with a bunch of no's. This is why I ask you guys, if you don't understand something, say you don't understand it and stop playing the game. So a lot of people provisions is still based on 30-fold, possesses doubt and fear in their faith. That's what happens. You own milk. You're not on milk. Servant quarters, not sons of inheritance. So then you have they who have achieved this 60-fold of belief, the 60-fold belief of these gold coins, and you exchange those for faith. Now these have refined their gold through trials, moving from droughts, enabling their faith dollars to access deeper mysteries. That's why some people understand me a lot easier. Because their belief, and they meditate weekly, they meditate all the time on what's going on, so they get a lot of things. So now they can meditate on deeper mysteries in the broader territories, and it multiply their blessings. They compound upon themselves. That's what happens. But now you have a few rare souls. Few rare, not all. Few rare. Because your nose telling you who you are. That's the thing. That's why I say it's real simple here. And but your nose tells you exactly who you are. And if you still put no, because if you still put I and you act like you know, it's just gonna put you deeper in Elysium. Meaning it's gonna put you deeper into the abyss. Meaning it's gonna put you deeper into the wilderness, and you can be tossed off. So if you don't know, you still put you don't know. You got to be honest with yourself. But you have these who understand a hundredfold belief, a hundredfold. Those present the pure gold mixture. So they have a lot of this in their house to where they got a lot of spiritual currency. They discovered that faith currency, now they have unlimited purchasing power in heaven's economy. But Jehovah himself, now he underwrites such tenders backing his own infinite treasure for you. That's the difference. That's a huge difference that's going on. So let's look at something. Let's look at something. We're going to get a better understanding. So when we're looking at this, let's look at something. And we're going to find this in Luke 6:38. Luke 6:38. And he says, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down and shaken together and run over, shall men give into your bosom, for with the same measure that ye meet withal, it shall be measured to you again. This is good right here, because I'm going to pair this with one. I need to pair this with Matthew 13:8. I'm going to put this here. Matthew chapter 13, picking up at verse 8. And some fell on good ground, some brought forth fruit. Some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. This is what I was talking about. So when the seed represents the spiritual deposit, so now it revealing the weight of the gold coins. Remember, the gold coins is the belief. That determines the value of your paper currency of faith. See, don't sit here and lie to yourself. This is what I'm saying. Don't lie to yourself. Because if you're putting in there, oh yeah, I understand it, and you really don't, you lying to yourself. You having counterfeit. So the same thing is, the belief coins determine the value of your currency faith return, pressed down, shaken together, run over. So when the sower seeds, and it brought forth fruit, some 30-fold, some 60-fold, some 100-fold. You see that? I'm just saying it backwards, but just saying the same thing. So this represents the soil, the fertility it measures, the belief goal in each heart, the vote. It determines what denomination of faith dollars can be minted that you deposited. That's the catch. So those, again, with the 30-fold belief, we're going to look at it. We're going to go back and look at it. So those who have a 30-fold belief, those coins, they're conducting modest transaction in the spiritual realm, a healing here, provision, but basic salvation secured, but a little more. Then you have some of those who have those 60-fold holders. The denomination of faith notes access greater spiritual authority, casting out demons, moving modest mountains, operating in gifts of the Spirit. But then you have those who operate in the 100-fold belief. Those possessors of the mint, this denomination of faith currency, these like $1,000 bills of heaven that purchase the things other followers cannot even imagine. Raising the dead, moving mountains, fighting without fighting. Within the seen world, commanding the matrix, the creation of itself, faith dollars are backed by belief, pure, that heaven's treasury release unlimited resources. Unlimited resources there. That's the difference you see. So when we look at this, then the same thing is we're going to pair something together. Just so we can get an understanding better. We're going to put up two. We're going to look at Luke 10:19. I want to put two here. And we're going to look at Mark 16:18. Mark 16:18. And it says, remember, I give you power to tread over serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy. Nothing shall be able to hurt you. And they should take up serpents, and if they drink any deadly things, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. Exactly the point. So this is giving you the understanding that this profound truth, many claim faith dollars. Many people claim faith dollars, but lack sufficient belief. So they're back currency, making their faith just worthless paper, spiritual counterfeit that heaven bank refused to honor. So they wave their faith dollars at mountains saying, be moved, move mountain, yet nothing moves because heaven's auditor checked their belief reserve, those gold coins, and they find it insufficient gold to cover that transaction. Everybody follow me? Everybody should follow me there. So as you waving that faith dollar, mountain, be moved, it's going to check your currency. Is it backed by that gold? And it's not there. It's not there. That's the point. So we go back over here and we look at this again at Hebrews 11:6. It says, but without faith, where that currency is small, it is impossible to please him. Exactly the point. So we look at this, it not because Jehovah despises, but those lacking dollars, but because faith without belief that gold backing is just mere paper. You follow me? It's just paper. So it's worthless. It's worthless in heaven's economy. It's worthless. So people walk around, I believe, but you have no faith. It's worthless. It's just worthless paper. So when we look at the heavenly treasury, it responds to faith precisely as earth bank. It honors currency, checking first the gold reserve, and then establish its value. Even as nations once required gold from Fort Knox to print dollars, so the soul required belief gold in the spiritual vault for the mint of authentic faith currency. So it's the same thing. Actually, I'm gonna show you something. In James, we're gonna look at James chapter 2, and we're looking at verse 17, 18. I want to show you something. And it says, so even so faith, this currency, not the being backed by the dollars, if it have not works, we're going to look at the works. That's the gold coins is dead. So if you don't have the gold coins, those belief is dead. So if you have, so it's saying the same thing, have not belief is dead, being alone. Yea, a man, male or female, may say, thou hast faith. Many people going to say they have faith. I got faith. I got all this. And I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I show you, and I show thee my faith by my works, by my belief. This is what the issue is. This is why we look at this, and it goes, when we're looking at these spiritual principles of this perfect revelation. So where you see where James even here showing this profound truth, the works function as the visible manifestation of that belief goal. Y'all follow me? So he's showing you those work. That's his goal. He's doing it for works. It's not separate from faith, but rather the proof of the gold belief exists in the vault and is backed by the faith paper currency. I know y'all get this. Unless you just brain dead. And I know nobody here is brain dead. I know you get it. But you want to refuse to believe it. See, when James declared faith without work is dead, meaning not just inactive, but it's worthless. It's like the Confederate dollars. Remember the Confederate War they had here and all this stupid stuff that went on. Okay, so after the war, like the German marks in this hyperinflation. So like any paper currency, when the gold reserve that is backed and it have vanished, your paper become worthless. So you got to really consider this spiritual reality. Many possess warehouses, with tons of warehouses of faith dollars, mountains of paper currency. I believe. Do you know how many people say this all the time? I believe. Yet heaven auditor comes in and he examines your vault and finds no belief gold. It has no gold being backed by that. So that currency is manifested by your works. So your faith paper, it exposes as a counterfeit. Pretty printed, it looks real pretty. Look how some of you guys went to church. We're looking real pretty. Real pretty, like. The guy's looking real dapper. But it was worthless pieces of paper. It has zero purchasing power in the spiritual realm. So this is why demons can acknowledge even truth. Let's look at verse 9. Let's look at verse 19. It says, thou believest that there is one God. Yeah, thou doest well. The devil also believe and tremble. He believed and tremble. See, this remains, the possess, when you possess intellectual faith paper, a lot of people possess intellectual faith paper. Keep that in mind. But absolutely no belief go back by the righteous works. None. So they're making their faith worthless for salvation's transaction. So men say, and women say, I have all the faith in the world. I have all the faith in the world. While producing no works. No one who enters heaven, you're not going into heaven's bank without a suitcase of dollars while Fort Knox stands empty. So the teller is going to examine your currency and check your reserve. And it finds no gold backing. It's going to stamp every bill of faith you got worthless. Worthless. So when we're looking for works, no earnings for salvation, but the evidence that belief gold exists. So when you're looking at this gold weight made visible, the proof is substantial, the reserve backed by paper promises, the manifestation that transform faith from the mere currency into a negotiable tender in heaven's economy. That's how this works. This is why we got so many people going to be in trouble. So without works, the belief, so works is belief. Stay with me. So without the works, the belief, faith is literally dead currency. Everybody follow me. I know y'all clearly understand me. I know y'all understand me. So paper that might impress fools. Oh, I just love the Lord. You got all this paper. You impress fools. But which heaven's treasury immediately recognizes as unbacked, unredeemable, worthless bills that cannot purchase even a cup of cold water in the kingdom. Tell me about it. So for these spiritual economies that operate on absolutely gold standard, where every faith dollar must be backed by genuine belief gold, evidence through works, where it possess no value whatsoever in the marketplace of eternity. You follow me now? Oh, I know y'all get me now. I promise you get me. Let's look at something. Let's go over here to Mark. Let's look at Mark 4:24. 4:24. He said unto them, take heed what you hear. For what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you. And unto you that hear shall be given. Exactly the point. So, for this speaks not merely of quality, but quality. Not quantity, quality. So the pure of the belief gold determines that purchasing power of your faith dollar, and faith stewards who refine their belief to 100-fold purity discovers that Jehovah himself becomes the Federal Reserve. Y'all follow me? Y'all follow me now? So when you had 100 belief purity, you see all of a sudden Jehovah himself is your Federal Reserve, backing their faith currency with infinite resources, transforming mere paper promises into substantial spiritual transaction that reshapes reality itself. Simple, straightforward. When we look at heavenly exchanges, I want you to understand something. So those who deposit this 30-fold belief goal, you depositing this 30-fold belief goal, and you receive faith dollars that purchase earthly blessings. So those who deposit 60-fold receive faith currency accessing heavenly realities. But those who deposit 100-fold belief receive faith notes that draws directly from Jehovah's own treasury. Their currency is so valuable that messenger themselves honors it. Creation obeys it. Creation itself obeys it. And eternity records, even transactions, is permanent spiritual wealth that neither moth nor rust can even corrupt it. I'm telling you, it's a whole nother ball game. But we still got to deal with that fate. See, fate is the contrast, function as an insurance of destruction. Y'all follow me? It's an insurance of destruction. Fate. The guaranteed outcome to those who reject covered in faith. See, fate as bondage is not freedom. So fate going to always operate as bondage. But the change of the spiritual slavery, so when men say what will be, they surrendered their divine image and chosen to become vessels of wrath fitted for destruction. Actually, I'm going to tell you what, thinking about it, I got to show it to you. I'm going to prove to you everything I'm saying, we're going to see it. Romans 9:22, it says, but what if God willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endure with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted for destruction. Fitted for destruction. Let me pull up another one. I want to make sure we get something here. In Romans 5:12. Actually, we're going to tell you what, before I do that, let me do this. So we looking at this hidden mystery. So it says, wherefore by one man, The reason why I want you to see this is I want you to clearly understand this. Clearly get this. So remember that the hidden mystery, fate, F-A-T-E. So it is the default covenant when the prince of this world, so every soul born into Adam's race, that's Israel. Every soul born into Adam's race. And I want to tell you what, I'm going to hold all y'all to it. Everybody who is under Israel, you put I in the chat. Because I want to make sure you understand this clearly. Put I in the chat. I'm going to hold you to something. I'm going to hold you to something that you can't get around. Everyone that's under there. And now the same ones who not of Israel, but they rolling with us, I want you to put I in the chat. Even the ones now who's not of Israel, but you rolling with Israel, you put I in the chat. Because I'm going to hold everybody to something. Everybody is going to get held to something. And this is why. So I want you to look at this real close. I want you to understand something real close. And this is why. See, fate is the covenant of the prince of this world, as I said. So every soul born to Adam's race automatically enrolls into a contract that fate, F-A-T-E, that this contract of faith until they consciously choose the contract of faith. We can't get out of this. And I'm proving to you in your contract. Because it says, wherefore about one man, one male and female sin entered into the world, and death by sin, so death passed upon all men. That blame one of us. For that all have sinned. So sin is imputed to us. And we can't get around it. We cannot get around it. You see it here. So this is what goes on here. Let's look at something. I want to pull up two. We're going to look at Deuteronomy. We're going to look at some law. We're going to look at Deuteronomy chapter 30. We want verse 19. And I also want another court record. I want to pull up another court record. We're going to look at Jeremiah 10:23. We can't get around this. We got to understand what's going on. 10:23. So as we look at this, we're going to get a better understanding here. And if we can ask people when we look in here, don't put emojis in here. They ask you not to do it. Can you please not do that? So the same thing is this. Watch what we do this. So when we enter into Jehovah's established courtroom, when we enter into that courtroom, I want you to understand, in the courtroom, or this divine courtroom of Jehovah, every soul stands as a defendant before the eternal law. You can't get around it. And watch what it says here. In Deuteronomy 30:19, it says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you. Against you. Oh, not for you, against you. That I have set before you life and death, blessings and cursings. Therefore, for that reason, choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. You see that there, don't you? So yet the people confronted with a powerful, awesome responsibility, and they confessed their fundamental spiritual incapacity. We see it here. We can't get around this. Oh Lord, I know that the way of man, male and female, is not in himself. It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps. Exactly the point. So we have to make this confession. This confession is showing that we're spiritually bankrupt. You follow me? We're spiritually bankrupt. And I'm going to prove the point because we can't get around this. We cannot get around none of this. And we got to understand what we're doing. So we'll see this also in Isaiah 55:8, but I'm going to run the other one because I want to make sure we see that, what's going on. So the reason why I put that there, since this confession, we know we're spiritually bankrupt, we got to understand what we have to do. So being that, it triggers that even where this prophet says it here, this divine counsel, and even I, just take me as your counselor, I tell you this. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to tell you, trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord. With all thy heart, with every ounce of strength you got in your heart, you trust in God. Count every man a liar. You guys follow me? Do you guys follow me? You trust in God. And count every single dabbling man, male or female, as a liar over God. When it comes to God, he's true, we're liars. Don't you ever change that. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not into thy own understanding. Period. And this is one of the main reasons why. But Jehovah's final answer reveals this ultimate mystery of this divine sovereignty because he's letting you know, for my thoughts are not your thoughts. His thoughts is not our thoughts. Neither are my ways your ways, said the Lord. So when that prophet tell you, trust in me, because my thoughts are not your thoughts. And I'm telling you out of my mouth. A lot of you guys, y'all loyally come here and support us. I appreciate all of it. But I can't sit here, come here and be blowing up my, hey, y'all believe me, y'all believe, I'm going to get you. No, trust in God. Trust in Jehovah. Don't you trust me? And it's coming out of my mouth. You trust in God. You trust in what's coming out of my mouth. That's him. Why? His thoughts ain't my thoughts. His ways are not my ways. So here lies this profound spiritual truth where man's choice of this divine sovereignty operates, not as a competing jurisdiction, but it's a complementary reality within Jehovah's eternal economy. Man must choose. We have to choose this. Yet, cannot choose rightly apart from divine intervention. Man must trust. I don't know what else to tell you there, because only you can trust in your the spiritual currency of faith. That spiritual currency is faith that Jehovah himself supplies. So the conversation it reveals this spiritual, this true spiritual freedom that emerges not through man's self-determination, but through surrender of divine determination. Where your soul discovers that Jehovah, higher ways, higher thoughts become the very foundation upon which your authentic spiritual choice becomes possible. Not through me. Not through me. So the ultimate spiritual battleground is between faith and fate. Faith and fate. So through this profound spiritual similitude, it's the same way you have two thieves, each representing distinct spiritual economy of operation within the same circumstances, yet produces eternal different outcomes. I'm going to show it to you. I want you to see this, to see what I'm talking about. Because you have to truly understand what's operating. In Luke chapter 23, but we're going to look at verse 39. And we're going to see this. And where you're going to see this spiritual economy. Actually, I want to put another one with this. Thinking about it. Put another one with this. 14:8. 14:8. But I want you to see something. So when we look at this, the two thieves. So One thief who operated through faith. We're going to look at faith. Watch what he do. I want you to see what he do. It says, and one of the malefactors, which were hanged, railed on him, saying, if thou be Christ, save thyself, including us. Faith operating at its best, demonstrating that this spiritual pattern, this condition, and it's conditional based on obedience. That's all. That's what he's doing. He's operating on. If you be Christ, then you prove it. If you be Christ, prove it. Save yourself, then save us. Prove it. This requires a visible demonstration before a spiritual submission. So this represents the carnal economy where spiritual currency is only exchanged upon receipt of tangible proof. You follow me? I know I'm using some biblical laws here and some attorney type language here, but we good. Because it's reflecting the same spiritual rebellion that Philip displayed. Philip displayed the same identical thing. Watch what happens here. We're going to look down here in John 14:8. Watch what he says. Philip said unto him, Lord, show us the Father and it'll suffice us. Boom. This demands for sight before faith. This was demanding sight. I got to see something before faith comes. This represents the spiritual principle that refuses to honor the substance of things hoped for, requiring instead evidence of things seen before a spiritual investment. Philip request mirrors the identical spiritual disease that affect the unbelieving thief. Both demand this visual verification rather than trusting in the spiritual currency of faith. Y'all follow me now? Y'all follow me now? Such demands, I'm going to tell you the shocker. I'm going to tell you the shocker. Such demands represents blasphemy. Did you know that? That represents blasphemy against the divine order, which functions through willful contradictions of the truth. And we can't get around it. Where one requires proof that contradicts the nature of faith itself, screws us automatically. So we see the one believing thief was operating on the spiritual economy of faith. I'm going to show it to you. You're going to drop down to 42. Actually, it's already, it says, and he said unto Jesus, unto Yahushua, Lord, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. Boom, boom, automatic, boom, got him. That was operating on 100-fold spiritual currency exchange rate despite having earthly evidence of any kingdom. His faith operated on pure spiritual substance, acknowledging Christ's kingship, which was hanging upon a tree, recognized divine authority and apparent defeat, and trusting in the future glory while experiencing present shame. Right in front of you. Right in front of you. Right in front of you. Let's look at something. Let's build on this. Romans, looking at 4 and 3, we're going to tell us something. Actually, I want to pull another one with this one. In Matthew 15, 27. So I know I pulled out, and I know I got to put Luke 20, 23, 43 again. So let's look at this. So the thief understood the spiritual parallel. He understood this spiritual parallel. You follow me? And it connects through the spiritual, even Abraham believed. Watch. For what said the scripture? Abraham believed God, and it was counted to him for righteousness. It's right here. It's right here. Abraham believed, and it was counted to him for righteousness. Let's look at something. We see this here in Matthew 15:27. I want you to see this Canaanite woman. She was operating on 30-fold. She said, "True, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which falleth from the master's table." Operating on 30-fold. So when we're looking at these spiritual functions of faith requires no external validation, because faith itself is the substance and evidence. You follow me? The faith is the substance and evidence. It needs no additional proof because it constitutes the spiritual material from which all divine transactions are conducted. You follow me? You follow me? See, he even said this. I want you to see something. He said this in 23:43. He actually is over here, but it says, "And Yahushua said unto him, Verily I say unto you, today ye should be with me in paradise." Boom. Again, boom. You see, faith had already been provided the spiritual currency necessary for immediate entrance into this divine economy, where the demanding thief died in spiritual poverty, having refused to invest in only the currency accepted in Jehovah's kingdom. Faith. So we on this battleground. We're all on this battleground where faith and fate is. This is the battleground, two sides, and we can't get around it. So who emerged most powerful when examining those who claim allegiance to the Messiah? The anointed one. But yet operate within an economy of fate. See, these followers bearing the name, but not the spiritual substance of true faith. So this demonstrates the profound spiritual deception that characterized religious fate. Fate. Masquerading as divine truth. Christians. These are true Christians operating in fate. So when confronted with the truth, I'm going to show you something. Actually, I'm going to run two. We're going to look at this in Matthew 13:57. But I also want to run another one. I want to run another one. Deuteronomy 18:18. To prove something to you. Because I want you to understand this. Because it tells you this in Matthew 13:57. And it said, but they were offended in him. They was offended in him. But Yahushua, Jesus said unto them, a prophet is not without honor. He's not without honor. Save only in his own country, in his own household. And the reason this happened, they cannot comprehend the one standing before them. Fulfill this prophetic pattern that establishes through Moses. And it tells you right there in Deuteronomy 18, he says, I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, just like Moses. I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. So we got the spiritual poverty going on. See, their spiritual poverty, it manifests, letting you know what's going on. Because this physical manifestation, this divinity, rather than acknowledging spiritual reality, declared that So their spiritual functions and their religious identity becomes mere tradition because it tells you one thing. It tells you one thing. 4:24, God is a spirit. God is a spirit. They that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. We can't get around this. So this spiritual function and this religious identity becomes mere tradition, operating through inherent doctrine and man interpretations rather than living faith that recognizes spiritual truth through spiritual discernment. See, people, Christians, do not accept that Jehovah being 100% spirit. They don't accept that. They say they do. Some will say they do. Some here say they do, but they don't. Because being 100% spirit transcends physical representation, declaring instead what Paul said. And actually, I want to show you what Paul said because we're going to go to, I want to show it to you. Because Paul said this in Acts chapter 17, verse 29. It's a very, very famous verse, but probably most people don't never really look at it. He says, for as much as we are offsprings of God, we ought not think that the Godhead, God, the Spirit of God, is like unto gold or silver or stone graven by art in man device. It's not true. That's just not true. But they believe that. See, this is where the spiritual blindness prevent people from understanding that the mouthpiece spoken in Deuteronomy operates just as a prophet, messenger, nothing more, nothing less. And this is the one divine essence that is self. So for Jehovah remains eternally spirit, using man's vessels to communicate his word while maintaining his transit nature. This explains their spiritual stumbling. They cannot embrace faith-based worship that acknowledges Jehovah's pure spirit because their religious system depends on physical representations and tangible proof, making them prisoners of fate. You follow me? Even while claiming spiritual freedom. Yeah, I'm telling you, you can't even get around this. You can't even get around this. See, faith and fate, see, the dichotomy, that contrast, originates in man's first even spiritual choice. I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove the points to you, to why we had this issue. In Genesis chapter Genesis 3:4. But I also want Genesis 15 too. I want Genesis 15:6 to prove something else. But the same thing is the serpent. So we know the serpent presented faith proposition. He presented a fate proposition. Watch what he does here. And the serpent said unto the woman, yea, ye shall not surely die. For God doeth know that the day that you eat, that the day you learn thereof, and your eyes should be open, your understanding should be open, and ye should be as God. Boom. Knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw, she seen, oh, I can be God. That the tree was good for food and pleasant to the eyes. She see this and then desired to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat. And gave also to her husband with her, and he did eat. See, this establishes fate as trusting natural perception over spiritual commands. Automatically. Let's look at something a little bit deeper. 15:6, Abraham. 15:6, it tells you, and he believed in the Lord, and he counted it unto him for righteousness. He ain't seen nobody. He believed in the Lord. Abraham believed without seeing the promised seed, establishing faith as righteousness, the spiritual function where faith operates before manifestation. So while faith demands manifestation, this faith demands this manifestation before belief. Y'all follow me? I know y'all get it now. So the same thing is, we're going to look at this in Deuteronomy 30 and 19. And I also want to put her back here. I got to put her back in here because Habakkuk got a break here for all of us. So we're going to look at Habakkuk chapter 2 and looking at verse 4. But as I said here, so when Moses presented this both principles to Israel, I call heaven and earth to record this day against us. And I set before you life and death, blessings and curses. He set this before us. So life operates through faith. In the unseen promises, death operates through fate. Demands visible proof. In Habakkuk, he crystallized this. I'm talking about he crystallized this with a principle. He says, remember thy soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Boom. Hit you again. You see how this faith keep working? Everybody see that? How this faith is working? It's demanding something that is unseen, while fate is working on things got to be seen. Well, we're gonna go a little bit deeper. Oh, we got to go a lot deeper now. We getting ready to test some things. See, we got to look at the spiritual revelation of faith versus fate. Faith versus fate. Y'all with me? We're gonna do a little test. We're gonna do a little test. Is that okay? Just put eyes in the chat. Is that okay? Can we do a little test? And my wife, she hates when I do it because I love testing people's faith. So can we do a little test? Eyes in the chat. Can we just do a little bitty test? I want to do a little test. Boy, this is one y'all gonna later say, I wish I would have said no, but that's okay because I got too many eyes. We gonna roll with this one. So we're gonna do a little test. We're gonna do a test of faith and fate in the marriage covenant. We're going to do one. So we're going to look at this profound spiritual truth of faith and fate. So in the most intimately within a marriage covenant, revealing whether one operates in spiritual understanding or remains bound in carnal perception. That's what we're going to do. So when a spouse, I'm doing spouse, so that's either side, demands proof of faithfulness. They demand proof of faithfulness. Y'all ain't got to put nothing in the chat. Y'all know who y'all are. When you demand proof of faithfulness, I'm going to show you what's going on. You're operating as Philip. Said unto him, Lord, show us the Father, and it suffices us. See, this is when the spouse demands proof of faithfulness, requiring tracking devices, constant check-ins, interrogations about whereabouts. They operate precisely as Philip is saying, show us the Father, and it suffices us. You can't get around it because it's all true. In this dwell where their spouses, they have been married for years, witness their character through seasons, through trials, and believing. They observe their works and fruits, yet demand visible proof of fidelity. This exposes blasphemy. This exposes blasphemy. We can't even get around it. Against the spiritual principle of faith. See, it's revealing that such persons cannot discern spirit. Proof that you can discern spirit. But only what their natural eyes, what your natural eyes can verify. I want you to consider something. We're going to look at something. And we're going to go back over here to Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11, we're going to look at verse 1. As it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. You see how we're going to hold to that. We're going to hold to Scripture. So We got to consider this. So faithfulness through the spiritual witness, first meeting them, then accumulate over years, shared trials and demonstrated character, trusting in the unseen hours, must, as seen, operates according to Hebrews 11. The faithful spouse requires no surveillance because they perceive through spiritual eyes what faith can never verify through natural eyes or through natural sight. But those operating in faith must see their spouse and is not unfaithful, and it's impossible task that no man possess this omnipresence. No man possesses omnipresence. So how can natural eyes confirm faithfulness during every moment of separation? So no one can. Faith create endless torment, endless suspicion. It's endless. For what the natural eye cannot consistently observe, the carnal mind fills with imaginations of evil. It's automatic. It's automatic. Let me take you somewhere. I'm gonna take you somewhere to where we can't get around this again. Because we're gonna start concreting this down. We're gonna go to 1 John chapter 4, picking it up at verse 20. We're gonna sit there and see this even again here. And I want you to understand, so those who cannot trust their visible spouse, they can't trust them. They have seen the inevitable and cannot trust the invisible God. They have not seen. Why? Because it's telling you here in 1 John chapter 4, looking at verse 20. If a man say, I love God and hated his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen? You see that oxymoron just hit you again. See, similarly, if you cannot have faith in your spouse whose character they have witnessed over the years, this is for anybody. How can they claim faith in God who are past without finding it? Their demand for proof in a marriage reveals their equity demands proof from God. They're going to equally demand this. Equally demand this. You're going to demand proof from God, operating entirely in faith, dimension where nothing unseen can be trusted. So this is precisely why it becomes impossible to claim, I have a little faith. Even a little. Because faith operates on absolutely spiritual currency that either exists in genuine gold belief, backed and stand exposed as worthless paper. So the spouse that demand tracking devices claim to trust a little bit reveals they possess zero faith. Zero. In all corners. Faith cannot be subdivided into percentages. Y'all follow me? It can't be divided into percentages. It cannot be portioned into mostly trusting but slightly suspicious. It cannot function as 90% belief and 10% surveillance. Even dollar bills, if you look at it, it can't be torn in half because it becomes worthless paper rather than 50 cents. Faith divided by doubt becomes fate entirely. Natural faith requires complete transfer from visible to invisible, from proof to trust, from verification to rest. When one say, I have a little faith in my spouse, but still need to verify, they confess having no faith whatsoever. Only faith masquerading with religious vocabulary. Their genuine faith would trust in the unseen hours as completely as one's seen ones. Can't get it. See, knowing that true faith operate wholeness not in all their existence, no such thing as part pregnancy, partial death, partial faith, only absolute, present, or absent of the spiritual substance, which enables one to trust both visible spouse and the invisible God without demanding proof from either. Because otherwise, you're a liar. So the marriage covenant itself operates on spiritual similitudes of divine covenant. So when one enters the marriage, they enter by faith, trusting in promises of future faithfulness, yet not demonstrated. No spouse can prove they will remain faithful for decades. You follow me? Not one. Such trust requires faith operation, yet those in faith attempt to guarantee through control what only faith can secure through trust. Yeah, follow me. I know it's hard for a lot of people. They sitting there, because a lot of people getting caught up. A lot of people getting caught up right now. So it says this. No spouse can prove they can remain faithful for decades. It's impossible. But that's going to always require faith operation. But when you sit there and see that, they become as Pharisees, one who watching. And it says this in Luke 14:1, because I want you to see this one part. It says, it came to pass, and they went into the house, and one chief Pharisee, king of sin, to eat bread on the Sabbath day. And they watched him. They got to keep their eye on it. They constantly surveillance for evidence of transgression rather than trusting in the witness of his character. The spiritual absurdity become clear after years of marriage, having witnessed your spouse character through countless trials, observing their works, their fruits, sharing the bed abroad and raising children together. And one still demands proof of faithfulness. They confessing their spiritual blindness. They confessing that to you. When they sit there always demand, they telling you they spiritually blind. And when they say they believe God, they lying to you. Because they still need proof. They'll say, "Oh, I got proof." No, you don't. You don't have proof because you can't have proof and you never seen God. That's why he said, I've been so... Let me go here. Yahweh Shai, Jesus said unto him, have I been so long with you and you have not known me, Philip? You see, if you had seen me, you seen the Father. You're spiritually blind. Fate, never truly knowing their spouse spiritually, but only categorically natural behaviors they can observe. Each one does this, even more revealing the suspicious spouse often projects their own operation and fate into their partner because they themselves would transgress if not watched. They assume their spouse operates in this carnal dimension. You can't get around this. This is what's going on today. This is why we have problems today all over the place. In fact, in Titus, we're going to look at Titus, looking at verse 1, chapter 1, looking at verse 15, until the pure, all things are pure, but until that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure. But even their mind and conscience is defiled. Exactly the point. You can't even get around this anymore. The reason why, because the suspicious spouse reveals their own spiritual state operating in fate. They cannot conceive others operating in faith. They cannot see this. This principle extends beyond fidelity. It encompasses the entire marriage relationship. Those in fate demand constant proof of love through visible demonstration, gifts, words, actions. Never satisfied because fate, hunger cannot be filled by any amount of natural evidence. Those faith perceive love through spiritual understandings, recognizing the quiet faithfulness of their daily life, the unspoken sacrifices, the invisible prayers offered in secret. Actually thinking about that, saying that, same thing. Same thing with me. My wife, she can get mad, but I'm cool with it. Same thing with me. You know, we'll go to get a checkup. And she had to go get a checkup. And we're going to the doctor's office. I go in there with her. And I sit there. Sometimes I sit there, I go through my iPad. Sometimes I sit there, go through my iPad. Sometimes I just sit there and close my eyes. First thing come out of my mind, do you want to pray? Oh, no, I don't need to pray. I ain't got to. You want to pray together? No, I'm good. See, when you have faith, seen and some unseen, I already prayed. You don't know when I prayed. I could have prayed on the way, prayed when I was in there, and prayed once I was in the room. But the same thing is, I don't have to show you that. See, but that was operating on faith. My wife was operating on faith. She want to see that. I don't have to show you anything. I'm operating on faith. That was the difference. So people have to understand when you're doing that. I show up. You don't know if I prayed for you or not. If you're a Christian, I didn't pray for you. Just letting you know. If you're a Christian, I didn't pray for you because I'm not going to mix my God with your God. That's hands down. But we can understand the character of what's going on. No need for constant affirmation because faith perceives what faith cannot see. So this tragedy unfolds when one spouse operates in faith while the other operates in faith. The faithful spouse extends trust, believes the best, hopes, and according to what goes on. Actually, let me pull something. In 1 Corinthians 13:7. It says, beareth all things, believeth all things, hope in all things, endureth all things. But the spouse in faith interprets that this very trust as an activity, an indifference, unable to comprehend that love need no proof. They create the very distance, their fear, through their demands for verification. Only who can remain intimate, the one who perpetually doubts the character. So when we understand that the spiritual understanding that reveals many marriages today operate on faith. And many marriages fail today despite these religious appearances. So both spouses may attend spiritual lessons. Some go to these false churches. A lot of them pray together. You see them move, pray together, we got to pray together. Not necessarily so. Quote scripture. But if they operate in faith rather than faith, their union remains carnal. Their demands. The spouse prove that their love is through religious performances, like church attendances, Bible readings, prayers. Yet their visible actions cannot satisfy faith demands any more than miracles satisfied the Pharisee. Only through transitions from faith to faith can bring the rest of trust necessary for the spiritual union. That's why he says what he says. This is why this happens. This is the resolution when it only comes through spiritual revolution, recognizing that after years together, if your spouse still demands proof of faithfulness, then they have blasphemed against the principles of faith. There's no way around it. They confess at that time. The trials witness the character means nothing to them. Only what the natural eyes can verify in that moment, they precisely what grieved the Messiah on Philip. I just read it for you. Actually, I'm going to show it to you again. It's right here. In John chapter 14, verse 9. He said unto him, have I been so long time with you, you have not known me, Philip? You have not known me. The time with him meant nothing to Philip. It meant nothing to him. Because Philip needed to see, had natural proof of his unbelief. So true marriage operates on the second thief of that operation. Trusting without seeing, believing the character witness, having faith in the covenant in it. It says, prove you are faithful, but trust your faithfulness. It operates in not in faith and torment, but a perpetual suspicion. But faith rests in confidence and trust. You can't beat that. This is a marriage that reflects divine covenant where God trusts us with free will despite our capacity for unfaithfulness. You ever thought about that? So you can sit there and see why I even tell people, when I first meet, I give you 100% trust. I let you screw it up. I'm going to give you 100% trust. You can screw it up. This is why that happens. So when we look at these marriages, they transcend these carnal need proof, enter into these dimensions where faith perceives, where faith can never verify. It knows the spouse is faithful, not through surveillance, but through spiritual witness. Trust in the unseen hours. As fully as seen, operates in the same dimension. Actually, why I'm over here in Proverbs 31 in verse 11. The heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. Beautiful thing. We're looking at 1 Corinthians 7. We can go to 7:12. As it says here, I want you to understand something here, because this reveals one never operated in faith at all, but only an accumulation of observance in a fate ledger, ready to be overturned to the next suspicion. That's all faith do. Okay, that go, okay, now let me go to another one. Okay, that one's it? Okay, let me go to another one. This spiritual reality is profound, this expression, he sees it here. And it says, but the rest I speak, not the Lord, because he's going to break it to you. If a brother have a wife, what believe not? And she pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. The woman which hath a husband that believe not, if he pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, is separated by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband, or else were works unclean. But now they are separated. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister not under bondage in such cases. But God hath called us unto peace. Exactly the point. The unbelieving husband is sanctified, is separated by the wife. So the spiritual function revealed that believeth not, describes more than religious affiliations. It exposes those who operate in fate dimensions, requiring perpetual proof, accumulating suspicion, never able to rest in trust. So the believing spouse operating in faith sanctifies the very union through spiritual operation. Yet, if the unbelieving depart, Let them go. You ain't got to worry about nothing. Let them bounce. A brother or sister is not under bondage in any case. But God had called us unto peace. The departure becomes inevitable. When one spouse remains in torment of the first thief, demanding proof, operating on suspicion and control, while the others enter into paradise of trust. The second thief found through simple faith. Simple faith. This reveals why such persons remain legally married and never enter into real spiritual marriage that operates by faith. The unbelieving spouse, fate create perpetual crucifixion and suspicion, demanding their partner to prove innocent while they themselves dying in sin and doubt and control. The believing spouse operating in faith offers sanctification. The very presence of faith provides opportunity of the faithful partner, the faithless partner, to witness trust and operation, potentially transition from faith to faith. That's why you see in verse 15, he called us unto peace. So that suspicious spouse demanding proof becomes in bondage, where their operation in faith make peace impossible. It becomes impossible because they choose to depart rather than to trust forever in the years of witness. So they can't even trust God because they're going to demand proof from him also. They say they don't, but they do. They are bound to remain crucified alongside one who is like the first thief. So when we're looking at a spiritual marriage, requires both operation and faith. It has to operate in faith, in that faith dimension. One who perpetually refuses this transition remain in the fate ledger of accumulated suspicion, and they are already departed spiritually, and they only remain physically present, but their behavior represents nothing more than blasphemy. This is why I always say a lot of people ain't going to make it, because you're having some people operating in faith and others operating in faith. Willful contradiction of the truth. Faith alone provides the substance of the authentic covenant relationship. So the same thing as we know, we got to remember the covenant, this function, it provides this promise-keeping vow, maintaining faithful, enduring, enabling faithful spouses to declare the same way that Ruth did. Actually, let me show you something. Let me show you this in Ruth. And you'll see this here, and it is straightforward. Where's Ruth? Right up here. Ruth 1:16. And it said, entreat me not to leave thee, or return from following after thee. For whether thou goest, I go, I will go. And where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people. Thy God, my God. Where thou diest, I will die. And there I will be buried. And the Lord do so to me, the more also, if thou but death depart thee in me. Trusting in the spiritual foundation laid through the constant faithful action observed over time, rather than demanding daily proof or continued faithfulness. So this marriage test, it considers this spiritual analogy, even where we look at the white woman who sees a black man. Same thing, same analogy. You see, a white woman sees this black man, humble worker, grocery bagger, bagging groceries. And she sees him all the time, and she's drawn to his integrity, quiet, diligent, chooses to know him, build a relationship. What she chooses to see, his character, not his circumstances. Everybody follow me? His character, not his circumstances, becomes to the beginning of faith, not fate. If she were moved by faith, her vision will be limited only to what the natural eye can measure. His current social status lacking the visible success. But when she marries him, on the invisible merits of his heart, never knowing the future, her faith aligns the spirit. I'm going to show it to you again. We're going to go right back to the same place where we've been. Hebrews 11:1. Goes right back there. Now faith is a substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. We're going to pick up another one. 1 Samuel 16:7. 16:7. It says, but the Lord said unto Samuel, look not upon the countenance of his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I refuse him. For the Lord seeth not as man, male or female seeth. For the man looketh upon the outward appearance, seeing what he got. But the Lord looketh upon the heart. So we see this here. By faith, she abided the possibility of the virtue what she saw, unseen by others, could be revealed, magnified in ways of them that expect the glory, the trials, the faith proved regardless of the outward exchange. So when in contrast, those who operate in fate, whether black women or any other that look on the carnal side, they see the beggar and dismiss the invisible worth within him. You follow me? They don't see within him. Fate deal only with what is at hand, judging potential by worldly, the monetary scales. See, we can't get around this. The natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, neither can he know them. Actually, we're going to tell you what, besides quoting stuff, let me just run to what I'm talking about. And we're going to see this in 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 2:14, and actually I'm going to put another one with this. 2:14, I want to grab another one with this. 2 Corinthians 5:7. I want to put that with that. So it says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolish unto him. Neither can they know them because they are spiritually discerned. Exactly the point. Fate verdict is blindness because they cannot perceive, hearing not but understanding, if they refuse the risk of the mystery investment by faith. So when we're looking at the true biblical understanding, we want to understand what's going on. The relationship is transactional or optimistic. We can look at it either way. But it's never those. It's never transactional. It's never opportunistic. Never. But it's conventional. They walk by faith, not by sight. It tells you that right there in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. For we walk by faith, not by sight. But this is what we do. Discerning what flesh cannot. In human relationships, as in divine covenant, faith alone receives future gifts, where faith never limited to the absence of hope in the presence of one merely seen. So this spiritual principle exposes how fate operates through carnal sight, while faith perceives spiritual realities. So those who reject the man is based on the position as a beggar operates purely on fate. You can't get around it, because the biggest thing about it, I done seen women do this. This is why I'm using that. I done seen women do this. Fate. Their natural eyes can see only what was present circumstances, unable to perceive the gold hidden within this earthen vessel. I done seen them do this. I seen that. And let me go a little bit deeper here. In 1 Corinthians 4:7. And it says, but we have this treasure
in earthen vessels. See, it's in you. In earthen vessels, that the excellency of thy power may be of God and not of us. It's a trip, ain't it? This is a trip. See, faith sees only earthen vessels apron with the minimum wage and social status in this social station, while faith perceives the treasures within. The same man later rises to prominence, whether through athlete prowess or business or judgments and doing different things, operating in faith, suddenly see his value. Now they, oh, dang, that was it. That used to be him? Oh yeah, he's cute, girl. Oh yeah, he used to try to talk to me. Really? Really? See, because you're operating in faith. What your natural eyes can only verify. Now, you see him because of wealth, fame, and position. They never truly seen him at all. Only his changing circumstances. His circumstances changed. I'm telling you, it's a cracker. Why? Because I see it. I've seen this so many times. In Ruth chapter 2, picking up at verse 10, it says something pretty nice. And then it says, and she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said unto him, why have I found grace in thy eyes, that thou shouldest take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger? I said, I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I'm a stranger here. I'm nothing here. And we have to understand what that's all about. See, the woman who chose him in the lowly state operates just like Ruth, choosing to work in the fields of Boaz, not knowing that he was a mighty man of wealth, but clinging to his character. See, she, a Moabite gleaning in the field, was chosen by faith in the eyes of her virtue beyond her station. So similarly, women who chooses the beggar operates on the same spiritual dimension. Faith perceives worth beyond worldly evaluation. That's why we hear right here in James 2:5. And it says, hearken, my beloved brother, have not God chosen the poor in this world rich in faith? Faith in the heirs of the kingdom which he had promised to them that love him. See, those who reject precisely as Pharisees did with Christ, they were judging him on that. And to prove the point, I'm going to show you the point because I want to make sure we all on the same page. And we're going to see something. I'm going to show you where they were judging him based on what they seen. In Matthew chapter 13:55. I want to see what these Pharisees say. Is not this the carpenter's son? It's not this him? It's not this that guy. He's a carpenter's son. Is not this his and not his mother called Mary? And his brother James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? It's not this that guy. They can only process what fate naturally sight verify, a carpenter's son from Nazareth. They missed the very Messiah, the anointed one, because fate could not perceive the spiritual glory that was hidden within this common flesh. They couldn't get it. Even more revealing, he performed miracles. They still demand signs because fate can never be satisfied with any amount of natural evidence. So they always need more proof, never able to rest in the recognition of this inherent worth. Never. Actually, let me go up a little bit. I want to go up to 45. I want to show you something else. So it says again, that's why it tells you this. This parallels the woman, parallels with the merchant. And he says again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant seeking goodly pearls, who, when he has found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and brought it. Exactly the point. Exactly the point. Recognize this great price. People only see this shell, this oyster. Clothes rough, apparent, and apparently just look worthless. This is what we do. We look at things and we don't see no value in it. Wisdom of Solomon, now we're looking at verse 5, it says, having been a little chastened, it's worthless. Oh, please. Worthless. Being a little chastened, they shall be greatly rewarded. The same one you sat there and seen no value in. But God proved them and found them worthy for himself. Comparing gold in the furnace, have tried them and received them as living offerings. Boom. Again. She saw this gold being refined while others saw only the furnace of this blue-collar bagger. This exposes blasphemy at its best. Those who pursued him after success, the visible part, reveal they can never value the man, but only his production. Never love the soul, only his earning potential. Remember Simon did the same thing. I'm sure to you, Simon, he did the same identical thing. Acts chapter 8, looking at verse 18, you're going to see him do it here. And it says, when Simon saw that through laying the hands of the apostles, hands of the Holy Ghost was given, he offered them money, saying, give me also this power, that I may also lay hands, and he may receive the Holy Ghost. But Peter said unto him, thy money perishes with thee, because thou hast thought that the gift of God may be purchased with money. The spiritual power is seeing only the marketable value rather than the spiritual reality. And so Peter rebukes his butt. These lady admirers, they think his worth was purchased by success, never understanding the worth preceded and produced what success is really all about. Let me look at it a little bit more. No, we need Ecclesiasticus. 11:2. And I still want to do Luke. So it's telling us something here. As this principle, we want to understand it. Commend not a man for his beauty. M-A-N. You know how many of us do that? Commend people based on their beauty. Looking at their beauty, they saw this, they saw that, No. Don't do that. Neither honor a man for his outward appearance. Tell me we don't do this. Tell me we don't do this. Commend not a man, not a male or female, for his beauty. Neither honor a man for his outward appearance. For the bee is a little among such as fly. A bee. But her fruit is the chief of sweet things. You know you want some money. Boast not for thy clothing and raiment, and exalt not thyself in the day of honor. For the works of the Lord are wonderful, and his works upon men are hidden. So we got this thing. This bee among them all that fly, yet producing the chief of sweet things. Those operating in fate can only compare the wing sizes, never tasting the honey being produced in secret of this bee. So I want you to consider even how Christ's own declaration, he tells you this in 14:11. For whosoever exalts himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. He's making this clear. The beggar humbled himself. Even the beggar, he humbled himself to honest work, while others waited for prestigious positions. They wanted somebody in prestigious positions. These women operating in faith recognizes this spiritual principle. They present humility, precedes divine exaltation. You follow me? She invests not in what was, but what would be. Not through fate calculations, but the possibilities through faith recognition. It's character that must eventually manifest its truth nature. This is there. All this is there. This reveals even what you see in Proverbs. Proverbs 31:10, it tells us. Actually, who can find a virtuous woman? Who can find a virtuous spirit? For her price is above rubies. For the heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. That is unique. The principle works is receptacle. Those who can find a virtuous woman, operating in faith, because faith recognizes virtue beneath, under any uniform, any station, any present circumstances. Her husband's heart can safely trust in her because she loved him. Not for his position, not for his position change, but love remained constant because it was never based on position at all. Fate is different. We got to keep going contrasting back and forth. Actually, we'll see this in 2 Kings. 2 Kings chapter 5, looking at 1. And actually, I want to put this at Hebrews. I want to put a warning there. Hebrews 13:2. So, same thing as we sit there in 2 Kings. So Naaman, captain of the hosts of the kings of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Lord have given deliverance unto Syria. He was a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper. He was a leper. And the Syrians had gone out by companies that brought away captives out of the land of Israel, a little maid. And she saw and waited on Naaman's wife. And she said unto her mistress, would God my Lord were with the prophet that is in Samaria, but he would cover him for his leprosy. That's interesting. Fate. Only leprosy or the possession, never the complete man. But the little maid of Israel cannot account in fate estimation, but held key for his healing. How many reject this beggar that never knowing they rejected their very own deliverance, their very own provision, their very own blessing? See, because it tells you this, actually why I wanted to make sure I go there, because I knew this was here. So I wanted to make sure you see this in Hebrews 13:2. It says, thereby some have entertained angels, messengers, unawares. Many people. And not even knowing what they was running into. The women who reject the base of the present position, Michal's wife, exactly as what Michal did. You had David's wife, who despised when he danced before the Lord. Let me show you this part. I want to just do this part real quick. 2 Samuel 6:16. 6:16, it tells you this. It says the ark of the Lord came into the city of David. Michal, Saul's daughter, took through a window, looked through a window, and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. How many people do this? They remain barren in the blessings that outcomes to recognize hidden glory, while the woman faith bears 30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold from the seed, recognizing the beggar, or even the beggar character. So this principle will judge the relationship. Do we love what is or what appears? Do we love? Do we love what is or what appears? This tells us everything. This tells us what we really are about. And a lot of us, if we look at the truth, it's not good. See, do we value the soul or its production? Do we operate through faith that perceives the unseen, or faith that calculates the visible? The woman who chooses the bagger at the grocery store chooses as God chooses. But God has chosen the foolish things out of this world to confound the wise. God has chosen the weak things in the world to confound the things which are the mighty. He actually is telling you the same thing where I'm at, but it's right here. But God has chosen foolish things in the world to confound the wise, and God has chosen the weak things in the world to confound the things which are mighty. So I was quoting the same thing, but I was going to run there, but I just ended up quoting it. So when success comes, actually, but I can't run this one. So we're going to look at something again. We're going to look at Tobit chapter 12 and verse 1. Actually, 12 and 7. It says, it's good to keep close the secret of a king. But it is honorable to reveal the works of God. Do that which is good, and no evil shall touch you. So when we look at this, the bagger becomes just successful, doesn't change his worth. It reveals his worth to fate, blind eyes, but the woman, operating in faith, knew his worth while he was bagging groceries. She knew that. So the king's identity was secretly hidden in the bagger. Uniformed by faith, penetrated in disguise. She would share his kingdom, not because she calculated his potential, but because she recognized his notability when it was hidden from faith perception. So this judgment, those who reject him based on position, reveal they operate 100% on fate. Fate, flesh, unable to discern spirit, valuing only what the natural eyes can verify. So why would equally reject Christ, the carpenter's son? Many people would have already rejected him, the carpenter's son. Many of us here would have rejected him. a carpenter's son. Many people would have rejected David when he was just a shepherd watching the flock with his father. Many would have rejected Gideon at the wine press. Many would have rejected Elijah for just being a plowman. People would sit there and I wouldn't, you would have. See, you have to first be honest with yourselves. This is why I keep saying, I'm going to keep repeating this here and there. This is why a lot of us is not going to get into the kingdom. Because we like to purposefully lie to ourselves. But the one who received the Lord's state demonstrate faith, operation, sin as God sees, love as God loves, not for production, but for essence, not for appearance, but for the spirit, not for presentation, but the internal worth. They enter into paradise of recognition while others remain in torment, never truly seeing the souls before them, only their costumes and their temporary plays that they do. This is why people won't leave buildings, because they only can see fate. The spiritual economy, modern women operate on pure fate, becoming living parables of carnality, declaring man must possess 6 figures incomes. I done heard it from women themselves, not hearing it through the hearsay. I done heard women say this out their own mouths. He must make 6 figures. He must have this such and such type car. He must have that kind of car. He got to be having a house here, a house there, before they even offer any kind of consideration. Yet they themselves bring only an unmarketable claim. An unmarketable claim. And that claim is, I always ask them, what do he get in return? They get me. An unmarketable claim. Alongside fleeing beauty that comes a dime a dozen. That's going to come a dime a dozen. Actually, in Proverbs 31, let me go down to 30. And it's telling you even here, in Proverbs 31, 31:30. And it says, favor is deceitful. Beauty is vain. Beauty is vain. It's going to fade anyway. But a woman that fears the Lord shall be praised. So they're not showing anything. They act as these spiritual perpetuators who, when thinking they're doing something, demanding gold from those with authentic riches, never perceiving the disguised royalty present in these humble circumstances, trading with fades. Their looks. They get me. Who are you? You come a dime a dozen. They forsake the secret wealth of the king of the visible glitter of mammon. This lust material is proof that reveals in spiritual blindness both beauty and wealth are nothing but pure vanity. Actually, the same thing is, we go over here to 1 Corinthians 2, verse 14. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, picking it up at verse 14, it says, the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can they know them, because they are spiritually discerned. Exactly the point. Such women construct these modern golden calves. Then they constantly do this. They're going to always construct something. And they put something that's not there. A lot of times perpetuated even by the parents. And it's telling you, for all flesh is grass, and all the glory of man is as a flower. The grass withereth, and the flower fadeth away. Exactly the point. That's going to fade away. So, in their hands a treasure of faith, character, integrity, spiritual vision are invisible, unwelcome, unmeasured. But the scripture declares, the woman that feareth the Lord shall be praised. So spiritual currency, when we go back, comes not from demanding, but from discerning, not by accumulating, but it can be lost. But recognizing the eternal wealth, loving Jehovah's love, valuing that which only faith can truly perceive. Outward appearance is always 100% doomed to pass away, while spiritual substance remain alone, able to transform relationships into marketplace of transaction to sacred covenants. So this is the issue. From faith to the ultimate demand of faith, this transformation, the spiritual reality. I want to show you something which a lot of us is into, and not realizing we in this. And this is why it's so important today, where we understand and we learn what is actually happening. In John chapter 14, I want to show you something. 14, we're going to start at verse 8. And I want you to see something. It said, Philip said unto him, show us the Father, and it suffices. Yahushua said unto him, I have been so long time with you, and yet ye have not known me, Philip. Ye have seen me, ye have seen the Father. How sayest thou then, show us the Father? Believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me. He doeth the work. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very work's sake. For the very work's sake. But Philip, key is show us. Show us. This mirrors the first thief. If thou be, both demands visible proof of sacrifice their unbelief. The Messiah's response reveals those who operating in faith cannot perceive spiritual realities even when it stands before them. It's right in their face. Walks through the door and they see it. They don't believe it. Spiritual functions as suffice. Reveals the area of seeking natural satisfaction what requires spiritual perception. So even with that escalation, even to Thomas, not just the ultimate expression, but the complete escalation of fate progression. I want to make sure we clearly get this. In John chapter 20, looking at verse 25, he says this. He makes this clear. The other disciples therefore said unto him, we have seen the Lord. We seen the Lord. We seen him. I want to show you something. But he said unto them, except I shall see in his hands the print of nails, and put my finger in the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. Then it's all BS. Fate. The autonomy of fate. This represents the spiritual progression of unbelief that demands the increasing of carnal proof. This is why a lot of us, again, is not going to make it. Because we do this on the spiritual side. See, first, he said, I shall see his hands. He needs the visual verification of wounds. I want you to clearly get what I'm saying here. He need to see these wounds. This parallel the children of Israel. Us. Despite seeing the plagues upon Egypt, still demanded visual proof at each trial in the wilderness, where we are today. I'm going to prove it to you because I'm going to show it to you. I want you to see this to where we can't get around it. Actually, I'm going to put it down here. Let's go over here to Psalms. I'm going to prove something to you. Psalms chapter 78, I'm going to look at verse 7. 11. 11. Get no. It says, and forgot his works. Who? We. We forgot his works and his wonders that he has showed them. This is what we do. We good at doing this. We still demanding proof. Thomas had witnessed over a year of miracles. From the transformation of water to wine in Cana, to raising Lazarus, yet require fresh visual evidence. He still need evidence. He still need evidence, as of some of us. Second, what did he say? Put my finger into the print. You see, in his hand, in the print of nails. He's telling you this. He demands this tactical confirmation, this escalation beyond Philip, super visual, requiring physical touch. Actually, it echoes something. Let me put this up there. I want to put this over here. Let's go to 1 John, because this echoes something. 1 John 1:1. And it says, that which was from the beginning, which ye have heard, which ye have seen with your eyes, which you have looked upon with your hands, and handled of the word of life. And this nut want physical things to happen, as many of us. Yet Thomas perverts this testimony by making touch a prerequisite for belief rather than consequence of faith. I want you to think about that. See, in third, he ain't even done yet. Because he's telling you more. He said, I got to thrust my hand in his side. I will not believe. I have to put my hand in his side if you want me to believe it. This ultimate invasion. This is an ultimate invasion, demanding to penetrate the very wound itself to present fate, most violent expression, to not content with suffice evidence, but it must violate the sacred interior. This is what we do. Let's look at something. Genesis chapter 3, looking at verse 6. I want to show you this. Just think about it. It says, when the woman saw that it was good, knowing when ye should be as gods, knowing good and evil, but when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, what did she do? She took of the fruit thereof. Not consent to see or touch, but consuming, eternalizing, processing the forbidden proof. You tell me. The spiritual function on what he did is right there. It's right here. He won't let me pull it over. But he says, I will not believe. I will not believe. See, this declaration, I will not believe, revered the doubt, the adamant refusal to operate in faith. the refusal to operate in faith in that dimension, establishing the will against the spiritual reality. This operates as spiritual rebellion, is establishing the carnal denomination over divine revelation, comparing each and every one of us to Pharaoh. I will not believe. Oh, you want me to show this? I'm going to show it to you. Let's look at something. Let's look at the law in Exodus chapter 5, looking at verse 2. I want to show you what Pharaoh said, the king of sin. We're going to use the king of sin. We're going to use how he functioned. And the king of sin said, who is the Lord? Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice and let Israel go? I know not the Lord, neither will I let Israel go. I don't want any pause. I just want y'all to think about that. How many of us should put our name right there where Pharaoh is? How many of us should put our name where Pharaoh's name is? Because Pharaoh is not a name, it's a title. It's a title for us to put our names there if it need to be there. Who is the Lord? That we got the audacity to say something like that. Both represent the carnal, willing to set ourselves against spiritual authority. Yet Israel was not according to our mind, but precisely why Pharaoh possessed the spiritual authority to make that kind of statement. When souls exist in the spiritual poison, where the chains they cannot see, the invisible bonds of fate thinking that convince them to operate in freedom while remaining enslaved to the carnal perception and natural understandings. See, Pharaoh's ability, we got to understand what that is. Pharaoh's ability to refuse stems from Israel's spiritual condition. They had not one thing they haven't did. They haven't renewed their minds. That's what we haven't did. We have not renewed our minds at all. Numbers 14:11, the Lord said unto Moses, how long will this people provoke me? And how long will it be ere they believe me? For all the signs which I have showed among them. I showed them all, I just showed them everything. And they still don't believe. Exposes precisely why we provoked him to anger and blasphemed the deliberate spawn known truth. Israel have witnessed the plagues in Egypt. Tell me we didn't. Tell me we didn't. We witnessed the parting sea. Tell me we didn't. Tell me we didn't witness the fire by night and the cloud by day. Tell me we didn't. And I'll show you a liar. We witnessed these things. We look at this and hold it as something else. Exodus chapter 14, looking at verse 11, and they said unto Moses, because there are no graves in Egypt, thou hast taken us away to die in the wilderness. Are you serious? Wherefore thou dealt with us to carry us forth out of Egypt, from the house of bondage, to free your mind. Let not this word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the citizens of bondage. We want to serve them. For it had been better for us to serve the citizens of bondage than that we should die in the wilderness. They willfully contradict the truth of their deliverance that they have witnessed in their own eyes, preferring slavery, visible security, to freedom, invisible promise. Matrix at its best. At its best. And we can't even get around it. This is willful contradiction after witnessing truth, constitute this unforgivable blasphemy that we can't even get around now. This is why I say a lot of us not going to make it. Let's look at this. In Mark chapter 3, looking at verse 28, tells us. It says, verily I say unto you, all sin shall be forgiven unto the sons of men, and blasphemy wherewith soever shall they blaspheme. But the thing is based on your faith in your fate. But he that shall blaspheme against the Holy Ghost, boy, have never forgiveness, but is in danger of eternal damnation. This is for a lot. This is for a lot of us. A lot of stuff I'm going to keep to myself because I don't think a lot of people are strong enough to hear what I would have to say. But it tells you this in Hebrews chapter 3. We're going to look at verse 17 through 19. It says, but with whom was he grieved 40 years? Was it not with them that have sinned, whose carcasses fell in the wilderness, to whom swear that he should not enter into his rest, but to them that believed not? So we see that they could not enter in because of unbelief. A lot of us not going to make it. And same thing is, I could even tell a lot of people not going to make it here because it's unbelief, fate. Their unbelief is not this innocent doubt, but it's blasphemous contradictions. And they practice it all the time. They always need visible proof or they don't believe. Choosing to believe their eyes' assessment to present difficulty over the witness experience of divine deliverance. This is blasphemy depends on the souls that reject truth, not because of the message, but because of the messenger Jehovah chose to deliver it. Did you know that? You see, it matters not who you want the person to be. He can care less what you think. Jehovah looks upon the heart and does not ask your permission concerning who should bring you forth the truth of his word. This is precisely why many will not get in the kingdom itself. They are committed to ultimate blasphemy of rejecting divine truth because they despise the vessel chosen to carry it. Did you know that? Did you know that? I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you the way you see it because it's part of the law. In Exodus chapter 23, picking it up at verse 20, and it tells you this is real clear. It says, remember, I sent a messenger, I sent an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. One thing, beware of him, beware of this guy. Obey his voice, provoke him not. He will not pardon your transgressions. You forgetting this rebellion, you doing it, for my way is in him. And I ain't going to pardon you for it either. This is what he's telling. He's being very upfront about this. This word, beware him, means you better guard yourself. Not from the messenger. Not to guard yourself from him, but from the tendency to reject him based on appearance status. Remember the bagger I told you about? Watch him. Remember the envelope? You better watch him. See, when Jehovah declares my name is in him, he establishes that rejecting the messenger equals rejecting the sender, making such rejections unpardonable blasphemy. Because you won't know. You bring somebody else to me. I don't want no. I ain't gonna listen to him. You bring somebody else. I'm not listening to him. Bring me somebody else. And I listen to him. Many have chosen to close their ears to God because who he sends. See, many reject Elder Johnson. He asked me, do I care? Who brings a lot of times this uncomfortable truth. The carpenter's son, who is the anointed one. The stammering Moses, who delivers the nation. They demand messengers of their own choosing, prestigious, polished, yet Jehovah consistently chooses the foolish things to confound the wise. Sends his deepest truth through vessels that offends human pride. He does this like clockwork. Masterful of what he does. Let me show you something. Let me show you something. We're going to run it over here. In John chapter 8, we're going to look at John 8. 8, and we're going to look at 43. And it says, why you don't understand my speech, even because you cannot hear my words? See how clear this is? For you are your father the devil. For the lust of your father you would do. He was a murderer from the beginning, because you didn't want to hear him. So you murdered the messenger, and abode not in the truth, because there's no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. See how interesting this is? Because I tell you the truth, and ye believe me not. Here stands a messenger declaring perfect truth. Yet they reject me, even me, because I come not as many expected. Did you know that? A man of this day and time, a servant of God, a teacher to his people. Even I declare, I have brought you truth and charge you nothing for it. Freely given without price, and yet cannot hear the voice that speaks, nor understand the speech, because they have already decided who they will accept the truth from, creating filters that blocks divine communication when it arrives through unexpected vessels. Did you know that? This is why there is no forgiveness exists for such blasphemy. It is not sin from weakness or ignorance, but it's deliberate choice to call truth a lie after sin is proven. Not because truth is false, but because they despise the messenger that brings it. They declare darkness after walking in light, simply because the torchbearer is not whom they have chosen, to whom they embrace fate, ability, bondage after faith, invisible freedom has become demonstrated beyond the doubt of those messengers they deem unworthy to listen to. You get me now? It's actually kind of funny in a way. The reason why it's kind of funny, because I see it all the time. And you have to laugh from crying. This is why Israel, invisible chains were forged through generations of fate, thinking they measured their worth by oppressors evaluating rather than Jehovah's covenant promises. They could not see the spiritual prison because fate always binds the soul in their own bondage. Convincing the enslaved their limitations and natural, spiritual. Their circumstances is defined through their possibilities rather than faith determining their reality. See, Thomas operated in the same spiritual prison. That don't change anything. Same spiritual prison. He was always demanding proof, while being unable to perceive the very demand for evidence demonstrate his captivity to fate. This deception. He thought himself free to choose whether to believe, neither recognizing that he required for proof had already chosen for him. Think about it. See, the spiritual function reveals Thomas demanding to God himself, requiring the risen of Christ submit to his fit. You got to go to his investigation. Reversing the proper order where man submits to the divine revelation. Actually, I'm going to show you something. I want to show you something. Because this is Job 101. And we're going to go to Job 38. We're going to look at verse 2. And it says, who is this that dark counsel by words without knowledge? Yeah, this is how God going to come at you. He says, gird up thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. You ain't finna answer you. You going to answer him. See, when God challenges, who in the hell are you? Thomas positioned himself as an interrogator rather than a worshiper, an investigator rather than a believer. This is what we do. We're good at doing this. This is what we do. We always want to question. And he tells you at the beginning, try the spirits, see are they from God. But what they want to do, they want to look at it, see do it look right, do it look good, this and that, before they even hear. We're good at doing this. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, looking at verse 21, it says, seek not things that are too hard for thee, neither the things that are above thy strength. Tell you to do this. I had the same one I put out. The same guy got put out last week or a week and a half ago. Same guy. He sat there and he called me. I would never stay on the phone with him more than 2 minutes. Never. Tell you what happened. Call me one day. Hey, I know what you're trying to do with us. I said, yeah, what is that? You trying to make us be master of breath. I said, no, you didn't. Where you get that life from? Where you were teaching? Dude, I don't have the license or the qualification to make you a master of breath. What you're trying to do is make yourself that to where you looking at prestigious. That's what you're doing. And I got off the phone. But he wanted to be able to tag that as he go out and teach other people. Yeah, you try to make us all master of breath. No, I'm not. And I tell people that I don't have the qualifications to do that. Me and Dr. Shaul never, you know how some people, they'll get their master's degree and then they'll go into schools and then they'll teach people to where they can get their degrees. I never had that conversation with Dr. Shaul. That's why I don't try to make people Hebraeus or master Hebraeus. Why? Because me and him never had that kind of conversation to find out what I need to do that. So that's why you don't hear me pushing it. You don't hear me pushing out no false schools to say, hey, if y'all want to become a Hebraeus, I'm gonna help you do it. That's why you don't hear me doing that. Why? Because I'll be lying. But I might can get my boat. I might can get me a boat then. But I still be lying. And sometimes I think that's some conversation I wish I would have had, but that was never on my mind. I'm just being honest. That never crossed my mind, ever. So, was it a mistake for me? Probably so, but that wasn't on my mind. But he says more here. It says, but what is commanded of thee, think thereupon with reverence. For it is not needful for thee to see with thy eyes the things that are in secret. See, Thomas seek things out of the resurrection through carnal investigation, rather than receiving through reverent faith. You follow me? Let me go a little bit deeper here. Let's go a little bit deeper here. In John chapter 20 and verse 27. Thomas said, reach hither and thy finger, behold, with my hands. I reach his finger, he reached his hither thy hand and thrust into the side, and be not faithless, but believing. You see that? I want you to pay attention to what's happening. So with this response reveals the condescending to man's weakness. To man's weakness. See, you got to notice the precise mirroring of Thomas' demands. Christ quotes his exact requirements back to him, revealing he heard the declaration through this physical absence. He heard it. Even though he wasn't in the room, he heard it. This demonstrates the omnipresence that should itself produce faith, because he repeated the same thing back to him. Yet commanded, be not faithless, but believing. Reveals that Thomas stands a critical junction. He must become believing, transforming from faith to faith. This is not a monetary belief, but a change of nature. From the continually faithless to continually believing. So Thomas' response to this, even to the modern Christian deception. Thomas' response is right here. He answered, said, my Lord, my God. My Lord, my God. Yahushua, Jesus said unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me. See, because you've seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen, yet have believed. This was a rebuke. People be sitting there like, yeah, that's one of the most famous crazy. See this right here, this showing right there that God is true. No, that was a rebuke. A straight out rebuke. Thomas' principle manifests today. This right there, it manifests in 100% Christianity, in camps where billions of people seek to touch Christ. And they want to touch him through movies. They want to touch Christ in pictures. They want to touch Christ in statues. They want to touch Christ in shrines and relics. They travel to what they call the holy sites to touch stones where Christ supposedly walked, that anointed one walked. They want to reverence images claiming to capture his appearance. They end up weeping before crucifixes and crosses and just stupidity, believing the proximity where carved wood bring them closer to God. They operate precisely as Thomas, demanding something to see, touch before they can believe. And God hook them up. He hooks them up. Same thing you see in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, looking at verse 11. It tells you right there, clear as day. For this cause, they got to do this. Actually, I want to run another one with it. Because we got to do Exodus chapter 20, verse 4 and 5. I want to run there with it. For that cause, God should send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. We don't been in the place where Christ is. This is where Christ stood right here. Are you serious? Are you serious? You at the holy site. I'm at the holy site, right? Let me call my mom. Mom, I'm standing right where they crucified Christ. You're a fool. You know how many people do that? That's why he said, he sent them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. Why? He already told you in Exodus chapter 20, 4 and 5, thou shalt not make any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above or that is in the earth beneath or that is in the waters under the earth. Thou shalt not bow thyself down to them nor serve them, for I, the Lord, thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me who do this crap. Oh, he's very upfront. You see, he's very upfront about this. And the reason he says that is this here. We're going to look at this in John chapter 4, we're going right back again. John chapter 4, verse 24. He tells you right down. God is a spirit. He's a spirit. And what we do this stupidity. See, this exposes what's going on. This exposes the issue that we have. And you look at this, we see these things that continually to this day. To this day. In Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14, picking up at verse 12, it tells us this. For the devising of idols is the beginning of spiritual fornication. That's why this here. Spiritual fornication is kicked in. This is why you got camps. They putting up this black Jesus. Yahweh Shai. You see, he's black. He's black. God is a spirit. Jesus was a prophet. For the devising of idols is the beginning of spiritual fornication. You can walk in any church today, and you'll see idols all through there. We on holy ground. No, you ain't. You on regular ground. The invention of corruption of life. Neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. This reveals that creating visible representation, divine leads to spiritual corruption. Churches worldwide continue with this Thomas error, needing something tangible. Tangible. Street camps has fallen to this identical blasphemy, manufacturing their own visible gods. They got spaceships. We got spaceships. Spaceships is out there. Those are God's chariots. Are you serious? Are you serious? Those spaceships. Those are God's spaceships. Have y'all ever heard of wheels? You know what you say? You know what we say for slang for wheels? Look at Ezekiel wheels. Boy, y'all, boy, come on, y'all. Stop that. Stop this silliness. Stop this silliness, you guys. Creating elaborate mythologies, these extraterrestrial salvations, while painting these black images and white images and just images. Where they establish these churches, where you got these places where you got, we had one when I was a kid, we got a white Christ and a white Jesus in there. They had Jesus, Martin Luther King, and John F. Kennedy, the Trinity. People can sit there, y'all know I ain't lying, because I know we wasn't the only one. My mom and them, they had it up there. Mama, she listening, but they had it up there. They had Jesus in the middle and the two thieves on the side. They had Martin Luther King, who ain't nothing but a little hoe, and he had John F. Kennedy on the side. And I know a lot of y'all had them in your houses too. We used to walk by and look at Jesus. Look at Jesus. I know I ain't the only one. I know a lot of y'all ain't gonna claim it, but that's okay. That's all right. But I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Because the one who know what I'm talking about, they sitting there, yeah, I had them too. Y'all done put that little Jesus right there in your room. So, the same thing is what we have done. So the modernist Thomas believers, they rest in false illusions. False illusions. Actually, let me show you something. In Isaiah chapter 44:18. And have they not known nor understood? For they had shut their eyes, they cannot see, in their hearts, they cannot understand. Yeah. The very seeking prevents our spiritual sight. We demanding the touch blocks spiritual feelings. See, even with Christ's word, he established, because blessed are they who have not seen and yet believe. He told Thomas that. He told him that and didn't even think twice. I know people sitting there like, boy, why are you sitting there showing them all our family? Because, all right. In Revelation chapter 3, picking up at verse 17, it tells us this. Because thou sayest, I am rich, I increase with goods, I have need of nothing, and knoweth not that thou art wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. I'm telling you, we can't even get around this stuff. See, what we got to do is we look at the word, the meaning, blessed. Do you know how many people sit there still? You have people tell you, hey, man, have a blessed day. Don't say anything back. Bye. Or do you ain't blessed? Blessed means wisdom given. Oh, boy. It's a crack up. But we got to understand what's going on. Let's look at this to where we get a better understanding of that. In Matthew chapter 13, watch what happens here. Matthew chapter 13, verse 16 through 17. And you see, blessed. Wisdom is given are your eyes or your understanding, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which you see, and have not seen them, and to hear things which ye hear, and hear them not, and not hear them. Exactly the point. Because we have to consider what we're doing. Consider this damaging proof on what I said from the beginning. And then we're going to hold on to this as we continually go through. In 2 Corinthians, as I said, 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 7, we don't remove that at all. For we walk by faith, not by sight. We walk by faith, not by sight. So those who are blessed, we understand that. We understand that. And never forget this. So as we winding down, we see something. Even with the Syrian, and we're going to see even with the Canaanite woman, that's what he said, to understand more so what faith is. So we'll see this in Matthew chapter 8, verse 8 and 8. And we'll see this here. And it said, Syrian answered said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou should come under my roof. But speak the word only. Just speak the word. And my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say to this man, go, he goeth, to another cometh, he cometh. And my servant doeth this, and he doeth. And Yahweh answered, and Jesus said, heard it, and marveled, and said to them that followed, verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, not in Israel. Not in Israel. So we have to remember what we remember and hold on to what we have to see. So with that, I'm going to sit there. I want to make sure we understand one thing. I'm going to give you this parable, and please, you meditate on it. Well, I'm going to get off of that because I already know. Some people going to say they're going to meditate, and I already know you ain't going to do it. So, and I'm just being a realist. So, because, my mistake for even saying it. But I want you to see something. This is a proclamation of me, Michael, a messenger of the divine fire and judgment. It's copyrighted, and no parts of this can be used. Because if you do, I will come after you. And mainly, I want you to understand this. So I want you to understand as we go through this to get a better understanding on what we need to be doing. And it says, hear now the words. So hear now, O children of the dust, for I, Michael, who stands in the presence of the eternal, bring forth the vision of the final reckoning. When the scales of heaven shall weigh every soul and spiritual treasure. Remember the great examination approaches where the divine fire shall prove what metal each soul has gathered, whether the pure gold of faith or the base dross of faith. In the terrible day of the unveiling, those who walked in darkness, seeking signs and wonders, they who clutched their tracking devices, prostrated before the graven images, wait before the painted wood, shall find their spiritual coffers void. For they are hoarded fool's gold of fate, fulfilling their vaults with suspicions, receipts, doubts, and inventors, and the crumbling parchment of visible proofs that shall burn their shelf in the Jehovah's presence. These shall lift their voices in lamentation. The Lord of hosts will, did we not view thy passion plagues? Did we not kiss thy relics? Did we not demand evidence of thy throne? And the voice from the throne shall pierce them as lightning. Depart, unknown ones, for ye know only shadows dancing in cavern walls, embracing phantoms while the truth light stood before you. Witness the fate of doubting. The spouse who, after harvest of faithfulness, witness still demands proof. Their books of suspicion shall transfer into unbreakable chains. Each surveillance, each interrogation, each moment of distrust forge another link in the fetters that bind them to the kingdom of shadows. For they shall remember their trusting companion ascending to glory while they remain in the outer darkness, eternal grasping for vapor, monitoring the voice, and surveying the abyss of their own making. The humble servant of the marketplace reject for his own lonely station shall be revealed wearing the crown of kings, while those spawned by his fate, measured, shall gash their teeth as squandered providence. She who perceives the hidden ability through faith, sight shall reign beside him, while those who pursue only the revealed success shall find their chase mirages across barren wastes. For the days of revelation stripped all veils, those who walked by sight shall discover they dwelt in blindness from the beginning. Thomas, the doubter, stands as heaven witness against all those who touch and see to believe. These words, my Lord and my God, resound not as victory, but as a testament to diminished inheritance and to receive the servant's portion who demanded proof, with faith would have secured his inheritance. Every soul that requireth cinema, and behold the passion. And I'm talking about a movie, that's just letting you know. Every heart that need carved stone filled divine presence shares Thomas' diminished crown. Belief stripped of blessing, confession deprived of glory. The temple of religion been exposed as bizarre fate. Their symbols mere wares of spiritual decease, and they bartered eternal substance for eternal representation, traded the invisible majesty for the visible figurines, exchanged their birthright of faith for the lentils of tangible things. Their faith stands revealed as Thomas' faith, perpetual seeking another sign, another wonder, another manifestation, never entering into the Sabbath rest of those who trust in the unseen. In that hour of judgment, the two manufacturers speak eternal testimonies from their crosses. The first cried out, "If thou be anointed," the anointed one, "prove thyself and save us," embodies who requires evidence before trust. They perish in transgression and shall perish eternally. There, if thou be echoing those through ages of silence. The second whispering, "Only remember me," represents all who trust without beholding and enter into paradise the very hour, who abided there evermore. The scrolls of marriage, covenant, shall unfold, and every union shall bear witness. Those who trusted in radiant as celestial lights, those who demanded proof, shall inherit the shadow realm and through their created suspicion, meaning you're going to hell. Just in case you didn't know, I'm just unraveling some of this for you. Know this: suspicion planted hell's seed, and doubt reaps its harvest. They sowed surveillance through the harvest eternal solitude. They constructed dungeons and verification of others, should dwell therein alone through all ages. Hearken unto the mystery of darkness. Each demand for proof drives another spike through faith's palms. Every idol kiss, every relic grasp, every passion played viewed, and strengthened faith. Each adds another stone to the sepulchre where fate entombs its disciples, meaning you're going to hell. I'm just unraveling some of this for you. And the modern disciple of Thomas, who adorns sanctuary with images, who cannot worship without beholding, who require ceaseless visible proof of invisible, they have already chosen their inheritance. Those are the ones talking about in churches and stuff like that. So that's just, again, just letting people know a lot of people going to hell, but that's beside the point. And they who shall possess their demands, sight without vision, touch without sensation, proof without presence. The materially rich shall stand as the beggar, having entrusted fate visible treasures, outwardly beautiful and appeared monstrous, having traded upon fate withering coin. But those who invested in faith invisible treasury, who loved and lowly trusted without surveillance, believed without beholding, shall find their spiritual wealth multiplied beyond measure. When the eternal marketplace opens and the books are unsealed, each soul receives currency they accumulated. You can question me on that later, because that actually, people who have seen the truth and still holding on to something else, they going to hell anyway. Technically, so they can do whatever they want to do. Technically, but I'll go more in detail later. And it says, those who traffic in fate renders unto Caesar things which are Caesar, seeking only What the eyes can verify and the hands can grasp receive faith compensation and second death. Those who invested in faith renders unto the invisible God, which belongs to the Spirit, trusting in the unseen, receive faith dividends, eternal life. No exchanges exist between the kingdoms, no conversion between currencies. What thou gatherest in time, the realm where matter moves through magic space, flesh accumulates its treasures, where mortality counts its coins and possesses it eternal, where neither time nor space nor matter exists to the cessation fate illusions. For eternal knows only the spiritual substance of faith and the spiritual void of fate, rendering all temporal accumulation meaningless, save only the spiritual currency thy soul carries across thresholds where time expires and only truth remains. What thou reject here, reject there. Therefore, let those with spiritual hearing comprehend the marketplace trades now. Each heartbeat chooses faith or fate. Every relationship tests thy currency. Each proof demand purchases from faith marked merchant. Every trust extends its invest in faith's kingdom. The ledgers of the are inscribed even now. The accounts undergo constant tally. When the marketplace closes, the books open, the great examination arrives, and when the coin fills thy purse, boy, that's going to be a problem. The darkness approaches when none can labor. The night descends where proof availeth nothing. Death tolls itself, singular currency, fate coins is refused. So I'm letting people know that because what's going on here is this. And you got to let every soul even read the words of Uriel's proclamation in the still that's pondered deeply and weight of each verse that lies not merely parable, but the very architecture of eternal judgment. Where I am, the divine fire reveals the every moment of this mortal existence that accumulates spiritual currency. So it cannot be exchanged once the marketplace closes. So you got to consider how, each of us now, the very breath, choosing between this here. So we got to remember from which we come to and who we are chosen. Many of us is looking at people who already have chosen their locations, and these cannot be changed. So I appreciate everyone who understands faith and fate, because many of them already have chosen which direction we're going. So what we're going to do, we're going to pause here, and we're going to go over into our Zoom, take questions, but we have some new things going on where Deacon Ann, he's going to be doing something that the deep dive team requested. So you'll see this in this Deacon Ann with me and him. We're going to be interviewing what's going on and seeing some stuff that's going on, and you'll see me and him going through this, and so it should be pretty interesting. So hopefully that we'll do that. We're still going to have the children's program, but we're going to have that going on at the same time. So with that, you see the link that's in the back for the Zoom. So everybody's welcome to come back there. And same is for tomorrow, where if you haven't had a chance to see Bible therapy, that's also being given on the back. And I got this one. Wait a minute? I can't believe this. In the time, can you do a teaching on emojis? I'm not gonna waste my time to do a teaching on some dang emojis. I will. Please don't ask me questions such as that, because that's childish. I will not do no teaching on no dang emoji. So what I'm going to do, we're going to go into Zoom, and we're going to go into the Zoom lesson. So we have Deacon Hicks' lesson tomorrow, and then we'll be following from there. So I say with that, until we meet again, I'll say to each and every person, until we come together again, I'll say to each and every one, Shalom.
Piercing eyes, secret ways.